Hello, I came here from Poland and I represent Otwarte Klatki, which is an organization, a grassroots organization that devotes its time only to farmed animals advocacy. And instead of talking about what we're doing, I would just play a short clip. I think at this moment I can safely say that we already achieved much more in 2015, and I'm really happy for that, especially because we are all volunteer-based organization. At this moment we only hire one person, so everything we do is the effort of people who are not getting paid for what they are doing. And when we started, we were just a group of friends who met at a squat, and we are friends from 3 cities, Poznań, Warszawa, Warsaw, and Wrocław. And in just 2 years, we started chapters all around Poland, and we are still growing because I think next week we're organizing training in 2 more cities, so that we can open even more groups. And what I want to tell you about is how to lead an organization that is volunteer-based, how to lead a grassroots organization. I know that our experience will not help everyone because our situation is also specific, but I think some problems are common for all the organizations. But at the same time, I have to say that I still feel that we are a work in progress. We still struggle with some things. We still have to resolve some issues. I don't think we have the perfect organizational structure, but I'm quite sure that this is where we are heading. And I think the first mistakes that we've made were made in the very, very beginning. And I think it's almost, starting an organization is almost like getting married, in the sense that you don't prepare for the problems. You think it's always going to be good. You will always agree on everything. So you only plan for the good times, but you never plan for the bad times. And the bad times will come. And for us, they came very, very soon. And then we realized how unprepared we were. We had no idea. We didn't really have any ideas on how to solve problems. We didn't have any strategy for solving our arguments within the organization. If half of the people want one thing and the other half wants the other, like basically we had no idea how to deal with it, because what we thought in the beginning is that, well, we have a great plan for starting a group, for starting an organization. What we want is animal liberation, so we will always agree on each and every single thing. But apparently this is not what happened. So we had to start working very seriously on how the organization is structured, and we had to come up with ideas on how to solve problems, and this is something I will share. We also had to tell to each other that we probably we will not be equal, which was also not something that we expected we will do when we were starting. But the first thing I would like to talk about is the recruitment. Very soon we started that if we really want to change the situation in Poland, we have to grow as an organization. And before I started my own group, I was a volunteer manager for a big animal rights organization, and this is where I learned that a lot of volunteer management and a lot of volunteer recruitment is being done, in my opinion, in the wrong way. And one of the mistakes is that organizations tend to send this message that anyone can help them. They just want people to come, and whoever you are, whatever your experience is, or whatever your skills are, you can just come and do whatever you want. What we try to change is that we are a bit of elitist, I would say. It's not so easy to become a volunteer for us. And I think that because of this, people actually value it. If you want to become a volunteer in our organization, you have to apply for it. You have to show your skills so that you will actually be chosen for the training, and then you have to participate in the training. We are very active, we are very big in the media, so we try to show that this is an attractive place to be, but that not everyone can join us. And I think the truth is that organizations don't really want anyone to join. We only want devoted people. We want people that are responsible, that keep their promises, that are, I don't know, punctual, and things like this. And we try to be clear about this, that we have expectations. And if you want to become a volunteer, it's like applying for a job. You might not be accepted. Actually, the fact that it's not so easy to be an activist in our organization helped us also to get rid of a spy we had. Because at some point, farmers introduced 2 people that were spying on our organization. But because our work ethics is so high, those people were not doing enough. So we got rid of them in a few months. Only after we realized they were actually spying on us, but they were not willing to work. So they had to leave, and the fact that we expect so much from people actually helped us also to get rid of people spying on us, because they were not really devoted. So when we recruit people, we also recruit for specific skills. So we list the skills that we expect. Sometimes those skills are quite specific. Like, for example, there were times where we needed someone that can translate from Danish. And I think it's also important that we actually recruit for skills. When we make adverts on social media, that we want some people, that we are very specific about what we need. Because what I think is that an average person who speaks Danish and Polish does not think that, well, maybe there is some animal rights organization who might use my skills, because people don't really know that this is what you might be needing. I think an average person does not even realize that animal rights organization might need graphic designers, IT specialists, sometimes teachers, and many other types of people that sometimes had never had any experience with animals or with activism. But in fact, those people were, until now, very valuable for us. So what we make clear is that we don't expect you to have activist experience, but we are looking for certain types of skills. And it seemed working. We always have more applications than we are able to introduce to our organizations. We also ask people to always choose a specific campaign they will focus on. So that if we are divided into campaigns and task groups, each coordinator makes a list of positions that might be filled by volunteers, and every time we organize a training, the new volunteers are supposed to choose a specific thing that they want to be doing. So you don't just become a volunteer, you might, for example, become a graphic designer who works on fur campaign, or you might be a media person for the restaurant campaign. So you have a very specific thing to do, and I also think that in the long run, it's motivating for people because they can become better and better in what they are doing. So they, because we are volunteer-based, I think it's very essential for us to remember that we have to keep people motivated, and it's even more important for us to take care that people don't burn out too easily, because basically all of us have to juggle between their paid work and their activist work. And our experience was that if people can focus on one thing, then it's better for them in this sense that there is this moment when what they were supposed to do is actually done. So they can, for example, get some time off. If we have lots of activists doing lots of different types of work, they always feel like, you know, whenever something ends, something, as soon as they finish one thing, there is still 2 or 3 deadlines that they missed on some other campaigns. So they don't even have this moment to appreciate the work they have done, because they have to jump into saving some other part of or area of work. So my opinion and my personal experience is that assigning people to specific campaigns just is more motivating for them in the long run. And speaking of motivation, I think group in itself can become a very motivating factor for activists. But for the group to be motivating, I think you need to keep quite a high work ethic level. My previous activist experience, also from before I joined real NGOs, I used to be an activist for informal groups, and my experience was that in many of the groups you always have a group of people who do lots of work or most of the work, but you always have a group of people that would just comment on what others are doing and not really giving much input. And I think that it demoralizes people in general. If you have a group of 10 people and only 2 or 3 are doing most of the work, at some point they will burn out. It's just impossible not to. They will also feel that, I think that if you have 7 people not doing much, then the general energy level is also low. And those people who are high in energy, at some point would start also going down, because this is where the group the group is bringing them down. So what we rather try to do is to only keep active and motivated people, to quickly get rid of anyone who's not really doing things, so that the energy and activism level is always high, and any new person that might join is actually joining a highly motivated, energetic, and active group of people, and so that they are rather I asked them to leave. Yeah, like when we see that people are not really doing much work, sometimes I'm doing those difficult conversations. I try to be polite in the sense that I would say that you don't seem to have much time for this, which in fact usually means that what we do is obviously not your priority, because I think everyone has time in a way. They just might have so I basically ask them to leave, because I think that keeping people who are either not very passive or toxic in the group is more harmful to the group than getting rid of them. I also feel that it's just like escaping a bad relationship. If you do it quickly, if you do it before it becomes really toxic, at least you can still be friends. And we are friends with many people who left our organization, because we try to ask them to leave as soon as we see that there is something like really bad going on. So we don't allow this to become like really problematic. But we openly ask people that, or we openly say to people that it's not such a good idea to still be doing that. And what we also observed in the beginning is that the problem with a group of people doing all the work and a group of people doing all the comments on others' work is also that at some point the people who are most active feel like they are only responding to what others tell them to do. And we also got rid of this. I know if it's clear what I'm saying. It's just we don't have anything like there's one person doing one campaign, or there is 5 people doing one campaign and 50 people voting on what they should do. Because we believe that if those 5 people are willing to put their free time, their energy, and sometimes even like some money into doing some activist work, they should make the decisions. So we give people power over what they are doing. As I said before, if you want to join the organization, you have to participate in the training. So in the training, we will teach you our philosophy, how we approach things. For example, that our vegan outreach is always friendly and we are not judgmental. That we ask people to take small steps. We ask them to reduce the amounts of meat they eat and things like that. So we try to share with them all the philosophy so that in the end they can make their own decisions when they work on something. But if they decide to work with us, and especially if they decide to take some responsibility on themselves, for example, being a coordinator of a campaign, then we try to give them as much power as they want. So basically, if you are in our organization and you are active in the fur campaign, and there is someone else active in the egg campaign, people who are doing the egg campaign might give you suggestions on what you do, but you are free to not listen to them. I mean, suggestions are suggestions. This is like any person can say anything about what we are doing or about what other campaign is doing, but the coordinator has all the power to say, I disagree, and keep on doing their work. And I feel that this is also a very motivating factor for activists, the fact that they have power over what they are doing. So as I also said in the beginning, one of the problems we had when we started was that we had no idea on how to make decisions, or how to make decisions, especially when people disagree. And in the end, we decided that meritocracy is the system we are going to use. So if you're working on something, you have the power to make decisions in this field. I'm the president of the organization, but I'm not telling campaigners what they should do. My responsibility is to work on the long-term planning. I'm not telling that you should not contact this celebrity but that or something like this. It's just not my work, so I'm not even trying to participate in such decisions. I also feel that if people are capable of or are able to make decisions over what they are working on, those decisions are actually better. Because if you have a campaigner working on a campaign for half a year, and so this is the person that knows the situation best. And if there is someone else who has been doing something absolutely separate, they might have interesting opinions, but there's so many things they don't know that it's impossible that their decision actually can be better. So that's also what motivated us. Motivation also has, there's also one important thing in motivation. We try to give power to the people that decide to take on most responsible tasks, because we want to keep them in the organization for as long as it's possible. What I saw before is that if we have people who are doing most of the work and getting lots of criticism from the group every time someone disagrees with what they've done, and sometimes those things are really not that important, like, I don't know, a font on a leaflet or a color of a website. I think this is one of the very important factors that make people leave the organizations. Because in the end, if you're a very highly motivated activist that is getting a lot of criticism from within your group, because